In 3, 2, and 1. We are live. Hello, hello, hello. No, hey, Arjun is here right in time. Hello, hello, hello. We are live, and Arjun has joined us
Hello.
right in time. What is going on? Hello, hello, hello. Sherry, Shroff, Azeem, and
Hello,
Arjun.
hello.
Three F1 superfans here to talk about Drive to Survive Season 4 and the 2021 season. Everybody say hello to all of these people. And let's start with straight up before we get into anything. Tell stream your F1 fan creds, because I know that you're all in your different ways super fans. Sherry, I feel like every time we meet, you talk about like Lewis comes up somehow. Azeem, relax. Azeem, relax. You will have time for a rebuttal. It should be pointed out right now before you get into this thing that Azeem is a Lewis. Is there such thing as an anti fan? And
Yes.
you're the Lewis super fan.
This
So
is gonna be interesting.
it's I'm looking forward to a stormy hour or so. So yeah, starting with Sherry, tell us your F1 fan creds.
So I started watching F1 when I was a little kid because my dad used to watch, and then I kind of, stopped at some point in my teenage years. And then just before Lewis Hamilton got into F1, the season before that is when I started watching again with my dad. So
Okay.
ever since his rookie season, I've been rooting for him. I mean, for me, F1 and Lewis have become one now, and obviously, um, I support him at every race, or it's like that is like F1 for me is supporting Lewis. So I don't know what will happen when he leaves the sport for me. But yeah, it's something I really enjoy, and obviously I've jumped teams with him as he's jumped teams. So loyalties are obviously with him.
Okay, got it. Got it. Got it. Utkarsh, thank you for your super chat saying Shehzad looks kind of like Taylor Tomlinson. Has nothing to do with anything, but sure. Why not?
I'll take it.
Chinpo says, hope Azeem and Sherry don't crash the stream or crash into each other on the stream. Either way. But yeah, Azeem, do you have a rebuttal or in general your F1 fan? You literally have, I can see a racing chair and wheel behind you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know you play the race. I know you play the game. I know that you're part of the Indian Racing League
Yeah.
in F1, all of that. But please tell me more. How did this happen?
So Formula One wise, I think when I started watching it was 2001-ish, and at that time everybody I knew was Ferrari or McLaren, and I was like कि नहीं मैं हट के कुछ करेगा तो I was like कि मैं Schumacher ने उसका younger brother को support करेगा तो Ralph Schumacher
अच्छा.
and Juan Pablo Montoya,
हाँ.
which was we had a good run for 3 years, and it's just been disappointment for a decade and a half after that. So if you remember, like last season, the George Russell crying with points.
Yeah.
That was me. I was like, points.
Points.
देखा ही नहीं है 3 साल से.
There was that great meme on Formula Dank a couple of days ago, the domino meme, basically, about it starts with some guy named Damon winning the first race I ever saw, and the top domino is 25 years of crushing disappointment. So pretty accurate. Arjun, Ravi, tell us your credentials. You, I know, are a super fan. I know that every time it's race season or Drive to Survive, I always follow your stories because you got some pretty solid takes. So please say, what are your credentials?
I feel like a really old dude here. Like I started watching F1 in 1994. This will be like the 28th year of following Formula One, and I used to be like a massive team guy. Like McLaren was my team, and just like Azeem was mentioning, that was the heyday of the McLaren era. Was the late 90s, the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And then 7 years of crushing disappointment with Michael Schumacher first. But then this dude showed up, Lewis. In fact, check this out, Sherry. You probably appreciate this. My wife got this for me. It's for our wedding.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
That is fab.
Oh, damn. Are you serious? This is in your bedroom.
This is in my study.
This is in your study. It's just there.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Aranyak says that Arjun looks like Sebastian Vettel. Have you got that before, Arjun? Have I given you that?
Depends, man. Like I've got a lot of crazy sort of F1 stories and shit, but like super duper fan. And now I'm at that point where it's part of my life, and it's part of the general pop culture entertainment that I consume as everyday life, you know.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah.
fantastic. Arjun, if it makes you feel any better, I'll tell you my F1 fan credentials. One is, I'll straight up start off by saying that I'm nowhere near as knowledgeable as the three of you. But हम भी आपके ज़माने के हैं, sir. हम भी वो flat square graphics के time से F1 fan है. ठीक है? Like literally from then, like I'm old enough to know like John Alesi, Gerhard Berger, Damon Hill, Jacques Villeneuve. And in fact, that actually was the era. This is pre-internet, pre-everything. In that 90s, I used to watch a lot. Alright? And then somewhere in the sort of Schumacher era, I just dropped off. And then over the last...
predictable?
Yeah, in a way, like it was just extremely predictable. So, yeah. And then I
like anybody who sat through the 2002 season who was not a Ferrari fan.
Yeah.
Man.
Like that's brutal, right? And then at some point I was just like, हाँ ठीक है, बहुत predictable हो गया. And then there was sort of in the middle, like if I remember correctly, a period where it was really like start to finish convoy racing for the most part, right? There was an era in the middle where that's what it was, and I think somewhere around there I dropped off. And then DTS season 1 actually brought me back. I've been like, holy shit, it's been a while. अब ये हो रहा है मतलब sport में, right? ये बन रहा है. So the story sort of brought me back. And
a lot of folks, man. I mean, like, you know, I have these, like, Samira, my wife, took these before and after pictures of like races in my house. Before Drive to Survive was just me sitting there, and then after Drive to Survive was like 20 people in my house watching a race, like that kind of thing. Like,
that's
also, I think conversations, no, like so many people online are talking about this now, which was obviously not happening earlier.
And it's also, I also think like what, like, and we'll get to the latest season, but I think what DTS season 1 did really well was, for the first time you cared about the midfield. Like if you were a casual, you didn't just know who the first three, it was literally in the first season Drive to Survive, right? Like the right is, these are the people who like 3 bad races and they're gone forever. Like you'll never see them again. And that actually was the beauty of that first season, a little Game of Thronesy, where it's like, fuck, out of these people, will any of these guys actually be back like later on? Right? And that was the fun of it. And from there, we've come here to season 4. And now we'll go ulta. I'm going to go Arjun, Azeem, Sherry. And first thoughts on Drive to Survive season 4. I'd also like to tell everybody watching that this is going to be a heavy spoiler stream. So if you haven't seen this 2021 season or Drive to Survive, if you haven't seen the season or Drive to Survive, then you never know, people pick up things like the sense.
Also, spoiler, like season better than the documentary. It's like, you know, the book is better than the movie.
Okay, so we've got Azeem's take already. We've got Azeem's take on this thing. So Arjun, Drive to Survive season 4, thoughts?
I mean, honestly, it was made better by the fact that the season itself was so damn entertaining. Like you couldn't have scripted that season. You know, like from race 1 to race 21, it was blockbuster action throughout. So I mean, you know, over the years, the amount of heavy lifting that Drive to Survive has had to do because of boring seasons, this year they didn't have to. Like, I mean, come on, it was the Makedar. They had like 4 episodes dedicated to Red Bull and Mercedes, you know, the whole like sort of thing or whatever. So yeah, look, I mean, I can nitpick and being like a super Formula 1 nerd and like, you know, be like, oh shit, they didn't go chronologically when they're talking about Sector 1 in Eau Rouge, in Spa-Francorchamps, it's actually Sector 2 and like all of that or whatever. I can get into all of that. But like, honestly, it was, I dug it. I mean, I watched the whole thing over one weekend and look, I'm definitely going to watch the next one. You know, it's like you're already so invested in it. And it's a great way, man. Like, I mean, just like Shari said, like so many people, everybody I know talks to me about it constantly. And I've never had that many people talking about Formula 1. It feels great. It like feels like a definite sense of community around it.
That's true. And those are all great points. But can you please just say Spa-Francorchamps again? Like I'm going to make it a separate audio clip, like as ASMR, just for people. Azeem, Drive to Survive season 4. You have different thoughts. Because the entire reason, I would like to point out that the entire reason this stream is happening is because 3 days ago, Azeem messaged and went, I have thoughts. I'm sure you do also. Let us stream. Alright? So Azeem, go for it.
So the overriding emotion for me was of disappointment, purely because, and I think it's because last season was just so good and there were so many subplots up and down the field. And I felt that whatever they did, fine, they did justice to, but I felt there was a lot of my favorite moments that were not mentioned at all. Like, for instance, as a huge Fernando Alonso fan, I was like, how can you go that entire season without showing us one little 10 seconds of battle between Hamilton and Alonso at Hungary? Like, for me, there was that. Like, Sebastian Vettel going to a new team, Aston Martin, finishing on the podium technically twice, once disqualified. No mention of him in the entire season. Kimi Raikkonen retired. No mention of him in the entire season. So, to me, it just felt like they were like, अच्छा भाई हम लोग के पास ये पांच इंसिडेंट है, 5 रेस पे हम लोग फोकस करेंगे. We're going to have Bahrain, Monza, Silverstone, Abu Dhabi, and maybe bits and pieces of Spa here and there, but we're not going to cover a lot of the stuff. Also, I do feel that Max Verstappen electing to not give interviews for that season, I think affected the way that they could cover it quite a lot, because basically now they had to position Christian Horner as this.
It just became the Horner Toto show, right? Basically. Yeah.
So, I mean, it was spectacular in the sense that obviously it's shot very well and they keep saying that up every year. I enjoyed particularly, I think my favorite episode was the Yuki Tsunoda episode. I think I really enjoyed it.
I loved him.
Tsunoda basically, for
yeah.
me, the image of the season is just Tsunoda's trainer going, come on, let's go for a run, and Yuki's just this most fuck this shit face I have ever seen on a professional athlete. Like, that guy has a darts player's attitude towards physical fitness, like not Formula One at all. Sherry, your thoughts on season?
So yeah, completely agree about Yuki. I was like, oh my god, like all through the season, all I had heard of his name, I didn't know about him, didn't really. So for me, Drive to Survive really, as you said, puts other teams and other drivers into like the forefront, which is what I like, because a lot of the time you just hear of the top 4 or 5 and we know their stories because obviously there's heavy social media, etc. But we don't really, hear about the rest. And I love that about the show. This season, I did enjoy the show, but as you guys pointed out, a lot of things missing in general. And I feel like the whole last episode for me was a bit of a letdown, because I just felt like there could have been so much more to that, reactions of other people on the grid, what they actually thought, because that was like obviously the biggest moment for every F1 fan or viewer in the world at that point, to be like, what the hell is going on, And I was a bit disappointed, being like, this is it, like that's all, like what happened, because I remember even Rohan, don't you remember the first thing we said when we were watching the last race and you posted something and I messaged you and you said it's going to be amazing, and I was like,
I think that was everyone's reaction, right? Everyone's first reaction at the end of the race was, bhai, this season ka Drive to Survive to.
And I mean, it was like almost like I was waiting for that last episode to be like, oh my god, it's going to be like, like leave me with all kinds of emotions, but I was a bit let down there. But but for me, I think overall, I think I love the kind of focus it's brought to F1, because for many years I felt like really lonely as this person that just watched this sport by myself or with my father. And I think, like as you said, people come in, go off. Like if you're someone that's been doing it for years, there are very few people that have a community, and now to have this space online is amazing, because you have so many people you can talk to and just share your thoughts about a race, a season, a team.
That's absolutely true. I want to come back to what you talked about the last episode. Before that, very quickly going to read out some super chats. That's all. Sigmund says, listening to Arjun takes me back to his VO on Standing By. Guys, please go find Standing By if you can. It's a great music documentary series. Can I call it that?
Absolutely.
May I call it that?
Thanks,
there we go. It's fantastic. Covers sort of Indian music scene in great detail in its history. It's quite brilliant. Please go check it out. Jürgen Klopp. Thank you, Jürgen Klopp, for joining our stream, first of all. I'm pretty sure you have PL team to coach, but Jürgen Klopp saying Massa not winning WDC doesn't feel right. Good to know that these are Jürgen Klopp's priorities right now. MD Sharif says, want to start watching F1. How should I proceed? Also, Rohan and Azeem, two of my favorites together. Fellow GGMU fans. Bhai, yahan aisi baatein mat kar, please. Nahi, there's no GG right now. There is only MU. There is no GG at this current moment.
Ganda.
Stand for Ganda. Correct. Arnav says, Rayo, Vale, Kano, Azeem. Imagine being a Man United and Williams fan together. Mental trauma each weekend. Viresh says, worst season of DTS ever because it was the best season of F1 ever. And Siddharth Jaydev, we will talk later, about your business proposal. Ipsit Naik says, ye wala bhari maza aa gaya. Okay, those are all the super chats. 442 represents says Sheriff OP, which is Azeem. Football podcast, by the way. If there's any football fans here, football enthusiasts here, it's Azeem, Neville, and occasionally Kautuk, I believe, or full
No,
time.
every time Kautuk.
Every time Kautuk, full time Kautuk on this podcast. But okay, let's come back to that and also go.
I think one of your guys had a point, the super chat guys, that like maybe the season needs to be boring for Drive to Survive to be interesting.
Okay, so with that lens, or in general, with that lens, let's go to that last episode, right? That everybody seems to have a lot of problems about. And I'm just not going to say last episode, I'm going to say last 2 episodes. Because that second last episode is actually quite exquisitely done, right? In terms of how it sets up what's going to come, like in the final episode, right? In the sense that this dogfight's been going on, and now it's all coming
Tensions are high.
Tensions are high. So with that said, what for you was the big letdown sort of about the final episode?
Should I go first?
Please.
So for me, I think just the way it was handled with the whole controversy with, Lewis and Max and the championship and whether, the rules were followed, not followed. I would have loved to hear other drivers on the grid. We barely heard a couple. I would have loved to hear more reactions post the race, where they had watched the race. They had, like the sit down interviews basically to actually be like, what did you really think? What, or more F1 experts talking about their point of view without obviously investment, like obviously not a Toto or a Horner, which would be obvious, or a Sherry whose reaction would be obvious. I mean, people who, know the sport and are neutral and would just like to share that, because I feel like the fans kind of that was the biggest moment for the fans through this year, where we've all been talking about, were the rules followed, were they not followed, what was followed, what was allowed, what was not allowed, etc. Is it void, is it not? So I think that's where I felt like, for a Lewis fan like me, I was expecting more, and I was like, oh my god, this is like a bit disappointing, where it's a bit neutral and it's a very and no real actual input on whether, what the documentary actually feels. It was very pretty much what we've heard from the FIA and F1 in general,
it just felt like all the audio we had already heard in the race.
Yeah,
they just slapped some visuals onto it from the
exactly.
pit this time. That's it. There was no further.
That's where I think that if it's been so many months and we still don't have any clarity on a lot of things, of course now we do, but at that point when it released, I feel like there was just so much more potential with that last episode, or to even have an extra episode just about this, because there was just so much, in my opinion.
That's why before we move ahead, can we please take a second to appreciate Arjun Ravi's hat change?
Yeah, I mean, that is
right.
Well done.
You are jumping really, you're jumping hats Ricardo jumps teams at this point.
Speaking of Ricardo.
Oh, okay, well done.
Well done.
So
well done. God damn, a man with a hat for every occasion. That's crazy. Man with a hat for every occasion. That is quite a trip.
Yeah, that is.
I could have done this with t-shirts, but that would not be good for the stream.
You never know. You never know, Azeem.
I'm going to show you Lewis and me
Hey, where's that?
Oh, wow.
On my wall.
Whoa.
Hey, why don't you tell the story of how you met Lewis? You told me this story once when we met in person. Why don't you tell everybody?
I kind of stalked Lewis.
How you kind of stalked Lewis? Yeah, Shroff stalked Lewis.
So, I obviously was obsessed with Lewis Hamilton way before the Indian GP happened and whatever. And I entered this contest that a magazine was having to obviously meet Lewis, and he was on their cover and stuff like that. And it was a men's magazine, but obviously I was like, I know all the answers to this quiz. There's no way I'm losing. Nobody is getting this. And then they called me and they were like, you're in the top 3. So I was like, oh my God, this is it. It's happening. And, whatever. And then I got a call saying, sorry, it hasn't worked out. You've got a consolation prize, which is a speaker. And I was like, a speaker.
Jesus, what
I was like,
oh my God.
How the hell do we
Literally, no, Michael, no.
I was like, no.
This was so not right.
Ouch.
Not
No,
right.
Michael, no. This was so not right.
And then, of course, at that point, it was like, okay, I was so disappointed and upset and angry. And then I was like, I still got race tickets. So, whatever, I'm going to see the car at least from miles away and whatever. And then I got an invite to the same magazine was hosting some party, and they were like, since you're anyways going to Delhi and you're one of the winners, would you like to attend? And I was like, okay, sure, send me the invite. And of course, that time it was like physical invitations and whatever still. So they were like, we're going to courier to Delhi because I had already left and I was traveling before that. And I reached Delhi and I got this letter and I was very nonchalantly like opened it saying, whatever, let's see if I want to go to this party. And it said chief guest Lewis Hamilton. And I was like, you are kidding me.
Only in India could
Most
somebody
Indian.
call Lewis Hamilton to a party and
Chief
use the word
guest.
chief guest.
He
Like, the
probably
least
had to
cool
light a
word you
diya
can use.
Yeah.
at the start of this,
He probably-
And
Yeah.
I was like, no way. Oh my God, I have to go. Then obviously there was just a +1. So I had to like drop my dad because I was like, you're too old to like take pictures and all. You will not be able to do this. I need to take my sister because
Wow.
even though she doesn't care,
That's
I'm going to
some
have to drop
mercenary
you
shit.
just for this.
Like, sorry,
And my dad
person who
was like-
raised me, but
My dad was like, yeah,
hands
yeah,
just
go
too
on.
shaky for them pictures now.
So that's how crazy I was about reaching this event. I reached there and I'm like standing on this, there's this tiny stage that they built and these ropes cordoned off and whatever. And I've reached like 30 minutes early, obviously, because I'm like, I want to be right in front and whatever. Come with my little jhola with my Lewis biography, the magazine and my cap and all to get signed and everything. And I'm just standing there for like, everyone's like getting a drink and at the party and my sister's like, you're looking like a real idiot that is just standing by
I
this
don't
rope.
mean
And I'm
to
like,
underscore this point or interrupt you, but as your Lewis fandom has increased, Azeem has gone actual literal Bond villain. Like, he has a white
And he's like-
cap cat
can't
on his
stand it.
lap, dude. He has gone full. You have literally this Azeem's villain origin story. But yes,
I was like,
please
wait,
go ahead.
wait.
yeah.
Yes.
So then I waited for him, and obviously then he came onto stage with whatever, the other people and whatever. And he kept, like, there was eye contact for sure. And there was hordes of people by this point, obviously, and everyone was like squished and bodyguards everywhere and all. And I just kept waving the biography and the marker like a crazy person and being like, and I was like, there's no way he's gonna like, do this because he's obviously gonna do whatever and leave in like 10 minutes. And exactly that happened. And he kept looking at me and nodding and smiling. And I was like, okay, there's hope, there's hope, there's hope. And then as soon as he finished his interview and they were like, okay, great, thanks for being here and stuff. He walked off stage, like right to me here. And he started signing the book. And I was like in shock because I was like, did not expect this. And obviously everyone around me was like shoving papers and all kinds of things to get. And he just looked at me and he was like, how are you? And I was like, I'm good. And my sister was like, picture, turn. And that's the picture. And he just turned around and walked off. So I was like, he only like got off stage to do this for me. So I obviously it was a special moment.
That's quite that's quite wild. That's quite wild. And he walked over to you. So technically, Lewis Hamilton took a picture with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm saying, he took a picture with you.
He
but
came to sign my book.
He did. It's true. Okay, before I ask Azeem and Arjun their opinions about that last episode, guys, there's like 1,400 people watching, but 539 likes. That's some bullshit.
Disgraceful.
No, this is not right. That is the refrain. So please smash that like button. And while you do smash that like button and take us up to at least 1,000 likes, come on. Azeem, starting with you, that last episode.
So I think for me, because I enjoyed the last race so much, particularly because for me, I like. So the reason why I
No,
don't
tell us
like,
why you enjoyed that
Yeah.
last race so much, Azeem.
No.
Tell us.
So the reason why I don't like Lewis Hamilton Mercedes is because they took away the enjoyment of F1 from me for so many years. Where I was like, now I'm like, I will accept anybody who beats him. Like, I am not a Max Verstappen fan. I thoroughly enjoy his race driving style and all that. I became a fan through the course of the season with like just how attacking he is, and I like that. He has that certain. What a traitor. No, but I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed watching him. But so I was, because of how like euphoric I was at the end of it, I think I watched every single bit of footage available to mankind related to that last race that was available on the internet. Like even those YouTube videos with like 7 likes and all of that, I was clicking on those and seeing, being like, "Shayad isme kuch naya niklega." So I kind of had my expectations tempered for that last season, that last episode, and yeah, I did expect that there would be some bits and pieces that we had not seen before. I think in Saudi Arabia and Brazil, they gave us a bit of that, where like, okay, there were bits and pieces of stuff that we've seen before. So I don't think any of my disappointment with the season 4 was related to the coverage of that last race or even the last, like the championship battle. I think for me it was that there wasn't enough of the other stuff, which is why I typically would watch Drive to Survive.
Got it.
Azim, did you check out the Sky Sports one?
Yes.
The dual one. It's called
The
Duel or
dual
something.
one. Yeah, that was really
Yeah.
good, man. I feel like they build up the context of that last race much
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
the whole Michael Massey situation that started in Brazil,
Yes.
like 4 races before, then Qatar, then Saudi, and that whole build up. I felt like maybe for a more like nerdy enthusiast level, maybe that's
Yes.
the one to check out. But
So it's on Sky Sports and it's called Duel and it's not available here, which means obviously there's no way you can access it.
Yeah.
Just there's no way at all. that you can access it. Ha.
But yeah, I mean, I think that did a better job of like contextualizing that last race a lot better. But man, it was so blockbuster. Whatever they did, they couldn't cock it up that badly. You know, like I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
you know, it was still I think for casual fans who maybe just watched that last race, how many times do you have a world championship coming down to the last race where both drivers are tied on points?
Tied, yeah.
Yeah, that's
You
some
know,
next level
honestly,
shit.
it didn't matter actually if they finished first or second. They could have finished 7th and 8th, and we would still have a world champion.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like literally, it was mano y mano. Like one dude just had to finish ahead of the other dude, wherever in the
Yeah.
points playing positions or whatever. So, I mean, I was fine largely with the edit job that they did on the last episode. But then I watched the Sky Sports one, and that was way more.
My
Yeah.
issue
Heavy
with
contact.
that last episode was
Yeah.
that basically we've seen it all, right?
Yeah.
Like you literally, if you followed that race, you've seen that last episode. There's nothing new offered.
Yeah.
Like nothing, right? And for me,
Yeah,
that's
nothing
what,
revelatory.
like
about it.
nothing
Yeah.
revelatory
Yeah.
offered at
Yeah.
all. And what's frustrating about that is you take the full 40-45 minutes, right? It's not a 30-minute episode, it's not a 35-minute episode. You lay down the 45, so like मैं choose रहा है, right? And then on
It's a long
top
form
of that,
content.
right, long form, and that's great. But then, like for me, that's the sort of episode where I would have want to, like, look, like you said, right? Like even if you're a casual F1 fan, if you're whatever, that was the race heard around the world, right? You have to come in with the expectation that this everybody already knows. I would have really loved it if they'd sort of gotten the race out of the way in the first 5-10 minutes and then actually done aftermath.
Yeah.
Right? Because to
Yeah.
me, that's where it got fun, right? That's when, like, I remember that race ended that night with a bunch of friends watching at my place, all right? And for about a couple of hours after the race, everyone's just on their phone going, oh, our appeal's gonna happen. Our appeal's not
Yeah.
gonna happen. Oh, apparently, like, it's with the lawyers now, right? Like, Mercedes is
Yeah.
taking this fucking all the way. Then it was like in the middle of that, straight away the conversation started. Is Michael Massey gonna go? Like, what was his role in all of this? And none of that. Like, none of that context at all. Especially, like, we've seen it play out. Right?
Yeah.
Like, we've
Yeah.
seen
Yeah.
events play out after that. Give us context for that. And I feel like that would have just been 10,000 times, like,
Yeah.
better. And overall, I was just like, okay, you just showed
I
me
would
the
have done
race.
with a whole episode dedicated to this dude.
Yep.
So, we will come to that. We will absolutely come to that. And I want to talk about that and all of the stuff. But before we go, there's one last thing I need to talk about in the last episode, which I think is the most important thing. Guys, we need to talk about Turtleneck Toto. Guys, we need to talk about Turtleneck Toto. It's like there's basic production and then there's you just put a sign above somebody's head, right? कि ये Bond villain है, which I don't think बेचारा Toto है भी, right? Like in the sense,
Yeah.
I don't think, like to Toto's credit. What was your first reaction to Turtleneck Toto is what I want to know.
I was like, where's the iPhone?
He has too much hair
Yeah.
for an iPhone announcement, dude.
Yeah.
Like way too much.
Yeah, I had actually seen Turtleneck Toto beforehand, like in the this thing, because when that was the day where he announced that, oh, what if Lewis Hamilton doesn't come back and what if this all happens? So it almost felt like, he had come there in this all black attire just to like like almost as a sign of mourning.
Yeah,
You know, that
Toto in
guys,
mourning.
this is how much you screwed us over, that now Lewis Hamilton is gone. He's not coming back and we need to be sad about this. So I think that was the message he was trying to bring that day, because he did the press conferences and I assume Drive to Survive the same day.
Like, Sherry?
I loved it. I thought, as Azeem said, I think it was like to make a point, and I feel like that, like, it definitely made a point. And I think in general, for me, it's almost like now we're waiting for Toto to react to everything, right? Like, it's like whenever anything's happening, you're like, what is Toto doing, or what is Toto saying?
I want Toto to narrate my life.
I love that. Like, I love how exciting that has become as well, right? Like, in general, you're like, everybody is like waiting for the cameras to be on Toto, or I mean on Christian if you're a Red Bull fan. And that kind of banter, I think also the whole season was basically, you know, that's what was going on. And you could see it even during the race, like, of course, in Drive to Survive, much more than what we watch in like actual races. But I think that was really exciting. And I think Turtleneck Toto really made a point. Like, I feel like when he came there, you felt for him. Like, I felt for him. And I was like, okay, you know, like, this is his morning outfit to be like, you know, what have you done to us?
No, I was like, that looks like a man who has not got his pumpernickel. All right, like this is no pumpernickel Toto. All right, like I have.
It was also a kind of like don't mess with me kind of Toto. Like, that's the vibe he was.
Oh, I get the sense that all Toto is don't mess with me Toto.
Yeah,
I don't
but
think
I mean,
there's
the
a version
outfit,
of Toto that's
you're
like
saying, right? Like the Bond villain, like, I'm gonna get you now. Like, watch out.
Yeah.
Like that,
everyone has a target on their backs.
Yeah, it's so weird for him to be the James. It's so weird for Toto to be the Bond villain, because usually it's another guy who's saying, Valtteri, it's James.
Yeah.
So,
We're gonna miss that.
Oh man,
yeah.
We're totally miss that.
Poor
I saw a
sweet
great
Valtteri.
meme saying that you know that John Cena looking completely surprised wala meme format which is there, and the text saying when George Russell starts winning races and suddenly Lewis hears Lewis, it's James.
That's fucking hilarious.
I think more cult though than like Turtleneck Toto was Aldi catalog Gunther Steiner.
Oh yes.
Dude, Gunther Steiner is, I have said this, Gunther Steiner is the Johnny Lever of Drive to Survive, alright?
That photo of him against the boat, that boat thing that he was advertising, my god. Goodness, just how that made that whole episode. Yeah.
Dude, like, he is hands down the single most entertaining thing about that show, okay?
Yeah.
That man's, first of all, that man's optimism is boundless.
Yeah.
Alright, मैं बहुत पहले life में give up होता. Like, बहुत पहले. But, like, he is the only person. Ha, he with a completely straight face can say things like, he is not an oligarch, he is a fertilizer guy. I'm like, bro, tu kya bol raha hai? Bro, tu kya bol raha hai? Gunther.
There's already like those are meme templates now. Him and Mick Schumacher sitting on that goddamn basket and like whatever and everything. It's gonna keep entertaining for.
It's too good.
But I think that's the thing about Drive to Survive, right? You wouldn't otherwise give a shit about Haas.
Yeah.
Of course.
You know,
hey, I have a Haas cap here.
Come on, let's go.
It's my Haas cap. We have no sponsors,
No.
so currently it's just a metal frame. Any sponsor who comes can be pasted here.
Yeah. Just put a one and one.
Yeah, just put. Yeah. So you know, if by any chance there's a company called, I don't know, Fural Kali or something like that that has money to give, then
I get the feeling that's also the hat they would make Mazepin wear every time he spun the car out in the garage. Like, you sit, you look like a wanker.
The dunce hat, dunce hat, like straight up. Speaking of Mazepin, why Mazepin gets episode for just unlapping self? Right? That has to be this is the opposite of, you know how your third prize was a speaker. Like,
Yeah.
the opposite of that. Where this was like they gave a full episode for no achievement. No achievement whatsoever.
It's like that, you know, like certificate of participation that you get and you're like, oh my god, I got a certificate. Like,
An unnecessary redemption arc for a just genuinely fuck all dude.
Yeah, like just for a jag off, right? Like,
Yeah, totally. And I mean, you say what you want about Lance Stroll, for example, another
Yeah.
like rich dude, son or whatever, but the dude doesn't do stupid shit and like
it's true.
insensitive, unnecessary shit or whatever. So yeah, sure, he's a rich guy's son and he's taken off somebody else's seat or whatever, but he's not like flaunting it or being like a douche. And honestly,
Yeah.
Lance Stroll, I think, had a good race also or two last year. Like,
I think he did, right? He had.
Yeah,
He was
totally.
competent at least, unlike
fully.
Mazepin, who has not understood that part of the point of F1 is to finish, is to actually finish a race. And of course, him saying all sorts of grimly ironic shit now, like I'm here to stay, was very entertaining.
Take a hint, man. It's fine.
So, on the topic of Lance Stroll, very side topic, but Lawrence
This is
Stroll.
the true drive to survive, okay? Lance Stroll is getting airtime on this. This is the true drive to survive, guys.
Yeah. That Lawrence Stroll give you a complete Wilson Fisk vibe.
Oh, so you know what? I don't know. I can't tell if Lawrence Stroll is Wilson
And he looks
Fisk.
evil. Yeah, he totally. I mean, if you've seen him,
And the way he talks also.
Or he's just a good TV villain. I don't know. He's just a good villain for TV.
I feel he could crush you with his hand also. He's that big guy also, man. He's well
100%.
built and huge.
He's very what's the word I'm looking for? Yes, American. Yes, he's very American. Lance Stroll
Canadian.
very American.
Oh, he's Canadian.
He's Canadian. Then why is he so American?
Yeah.
He's the least
Exactly.
Canadian guy. I'm sorry. He's the least Canadian guy I've ever seen in my life. Alright, he's a fraud Canadian. I'm reasonably sure he's an American. One day he fell into the river and he floated over to the other side. And he's like, I guess I'll just stay here now. They were too polite to send him back. That is the only way that man can be Canadian. Right? He's the worst. He's absolutely the
Zach
worst.
Brown is American.
Yes,
The
Zach Brown is
McLaren
American.
dude. Yeah,
Yes.
and he's very American.
Oh, he's very American.
He's
so
super duper
superbly American.
Yeah.
He's adorably American. I feel like I want a separate series of just Zach Brown trying to live in the UK. And I feel like there's a sitcom there.
The primary characters are Zach Brown and Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Oh
just
my
gonna
God.
say Yuki in the UK is very exciting.
Yuki in the UK.
UK in the UK.
There we go.
Dude.
Season
Sherry, you
5
have spent time
confirmed.
thinking about this. Sherry, this has not just come. You have spent time thinking about this. You have laid a look at that going,
I'm telling you, when we were watching that episode, I was actually like, oh my god, I want more of Yuki in the UK.
Yeah.
Why am I not seeing more of this guy? It was almost like, you see this whole new side to this person suddenly.
I am 100% down for this show that
That's
has
what they
Zach
do so
Brown
well.
and Yuki.
Yeah.
The kid is he's messy. He doesn't do his laundry and
He really likes talking about poop. He's really enjoys.
Yeah, it's very endearing.
But I think the fitness part was my favorite because I think if you know F1 drivers are the fittest people in this world, and you're always seeing them all either doing a marathon or
3
cycling
seasons
or,
of Carlos
and then
Sainz
suddenly
doing
you're
this.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
And
3
then
fucking
suddenly you
seasons of
see-
the grim-faced Carlos Sainz, who has maybe smiled 3 times in his life in Drive to
Yeah.
Survive doing this.
Yeah.
And then on the side going Yuki Tsunoda going, मेरे को भागने का नहीं है और मस्त टट्टी करने का है, ठीक है?
Oh man, I wish there was a Singapore Grand Prix last year, dude. Because Yuki Tsunoda after that race, it would just have been worth getting the footage. You lose. Apparently, you lose 3 kilograms
Yeah.
in body
Yeah,
weight after the Singapore
after
Grand Prix. It's
Singapore,
absurd.
yeah, 'cause-
it's crazy that
It's
dude would have
crazy.
become. Yeah, but Formula One typically the cars themselves and everything. If the smaller you are, the shorter center of gravity you have, the better it is. So I'm expecting Yuki Tsunoda to thrive, hopefully, just based on his height.
Idea for the 2023 season, just cars piloted by babies.
yeah.
Can't see a better scenario than that. Just
They get
babies.
into it, dude. Max Verstappen was driving before he could do math.
Yeah.
Dude, all of
Yeah.
them. The photos are always them
Yeah.
at age 4, in some cart, etc. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, तब तक pram में चला गया था और मैं बस चल रहा था सब जगह. It's fucking
मैं age 12 पे Hakon गया था. That's my credits. That's all.
Hakone, oh my god, that's a name I haven't heard in so long. Guys, for those who don't know, Hakone or Hakon was Mumbai's first go-karting track, and it was in Powai, which back then was quite desolate, and there was space for a
Yeah.
go-karting track in Powai. Now there's no space.
Powai
for
was
normal
known
car
for
also in
go-karting
Powai.
track.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
it was the
Yeah,
go-karting.
and I
Yeah.
That's literally all it was. This thing. What else do you feel was ignored in this show? Like, I feel like they really fucked up on Baku.
Yes.
Like, big
massively.
time. Like, that would have been a great episode.
Like, also, you could have, like, I really wanted to get insight about this entire, like, break magic situation. You could have told us more about break magic and
you think casual fans want to know about brake balance shifting in
Okay,
the
so
back
this
at the
is-
start of
no,
the freaking
okay.
race and everything? Come on, Azeem, dude.
No, okay,
Too
fair.
hardcore, man. You and I will get into it and
little
we'll dig
bit.
deep in it.
No,
How
I'll
is
tell
the
you my
guy
problem.
who's changed cap 7 times saying, bro, that's nerd shit?
Yeah. because
No, wait. My argument here, I will tell you, is that little bit thoda you should be teaching casual fans also, so that when they become fans, I don't have to teach them when they come to watch it. You know, it's like how Shark Tank maybe was a
you
side
just
camera.
suddenly turn to camera.
देख के सिखाता है ना. Like इसमें भी एक upgrade का course दे दो ना सबके साथ में. Just soft, hard, medium tire सिखाओ ना सब एक बार. Then you can come and watch.
I agree. At least the basics, I feel like they should do more of. Like, there's none of, like, even with the last episode, I wish they'd spoken about the rules, because I think most people don't know the rules, right? Like, I mean, even for regular F1 fans, I think as we finished, we were all going back to, like, check and be like, this would be the tech. But I'm saying, if you're new to F1 anyways, you obviously have no clue, even in general, about, like, lapped cars, unlapped cars, and what's happening and all of that. And you're like, so I wish, like, as it seems, that basic stuff, like, even obviously not like a dedicated episode to, like, maybe break balance,
but not as basic as Will Buxton saying that if you start first, that means there are 19 cars behind you. A legit thing he has said.
Yes, of course.
Dude, I think
that
Rohan had the meme of the fucking century.
Yeah.
That was great, dude.
All right.
I loved it.
Will
And
Buxton.
he replied to it. Wow, what a life moment.
Dude, full life moment. I was going to try and call him also for this.
What was his
and I
reply?
was
This
like,
is a reply to your post. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Okay,
He replied saying accurate. Yes, go for it.
I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
Is there a driver that you didn't like before Drive to Survive that now, like, you watched them and kind of humanized them and then kind of, like, shifted and be like, oh, I like this guy now? I mean, not necessarily supporting team-wise and whatever, but just as a driver and as a human being.
Okay, let me look back at past driver lineups because I have felt this.
I felt it for sure.
Who?
Yeah.
Say no, then they
I
ask the
felt
question
it
just to
with
answer it yourself.
Vettel. I mean, I initially I like
Yes.
when Vettel was winning back-to-back championships and all. I didn't particularly like him at that point, but I feel like watching him over the last few years in F1 and then watching him through Drive to Survive, I kind of like then started liking him genuinely and was like, okay, I really like this guy. I mean, other than F1 or
He
no
seems like
F1.
a sweetie.
He's a very sweet, like that. And also Ricardo, I think, like, Drive to Survive really has kind of made everybody fall in love with Ricardo, which I mean,
he's a Drive to
F1
Survive
fans
product.
would like love him anyways, but I feel like even if you're not, you're just like, how can you not like this guy now? Like, I mean,
I have said this before, I will say it again. He is pure 100% Giga Chad.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he is the most chatty Chad, Australian Chad that has ever chatted. Like, what I like about Ricardo is that unlike a lot of the other drivers right now, actually unlike a lot of other professional athletes right now, guys like him and Tsunoda almost feel like they're from that previous era.
yeah.
Where like they'd have a bunch of drinks and then sort of go out there and like do things. I'm not saying that they're not committed athletes at all. But their personality is still very like
Fully, Keke Rosberg used to smoke a cigarette before
Yeah.
getting into the car.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
Like it's that sort of vibe. Very
So
quick.
give me your answers, guys, drivers.
Wait,
Okay,
before,
I will tell
before
you.
they give answers, just quick super chat read out. Shreyas, thank you for super chat saying, loving this team, currently interning with an F1 team in the UK, would love to see the group. Ooh. Tell us which team, or DM me.
Aston Martin, Red Bull has to be one.
NK has paid 40 rupees to tell me that Hamilton sucks. I don't really have an opinion one way or another, but
मैं 20 में भी ले लेता.
I will take your money, no problem. For that, please do a 2022 season predict. We are going to. Pranjal also says Mad Max #33. But yes, guys, answer Sherry's question.
So for me, I think I have to like it going both ways. So one driver who I already liked, who I started to like more, and one driver who I liked, where I started to like less. So the guy who I liked and I started to like more after multiple seasons of Drive to Survive was Valtteri Bottas. So I've always really liked him, but I think just his entire thing of, despite being screwed over multiple times, the fact that he remained that team player till the end, I think is very, very admirable.
Also, he's just got a very bichara face. Like, I don't know how to say
Yeah,
it, but
like,
Valtteri
he can
Bottas
do
looks like
nothing
someone put
wrong.
a baby's face on a human
Yeah.
and gave it like stubble. Literally, yeah, he really just looks, even when he's eating breakfast, he looks like there also, someone took an order wrong and fucked him over. Like, it's like, who? I didn't ask for pumpernickel, goddammit.
Yeah. And and also, I mean, when you've seen a guy's butt, you have a bit of a closer connection.
This is true.
Yeah. And but the guy who I used to think I liked a lot, but I liked less after the season was Lando Norris.
Okay, why?
Interesting choice.
Just because so when it was him and Ricardo, like, there was always that dynamic of where the fun guys were the jokers and all of that. Yeah, and with Ricardo as well.
Yeah.
I think that like the thing of particularly like that entire thing coming out of the what do you call it, the article about him saying that he has no empathy for Ricardo and all of that, and just the fact that he was like, yeah, fuck it, I don't give a shit about him. I mean, to me that was like, he seemed like a nicer guy than that to me. And also the entire like the hush-hushness about his contract and all, it made me feel it's little something shady about
How
it.
much of that is him and how much of that you think is DTS editing? Because I feel like
Possible,
one thing that's
yes.
happened is after the show came out is that a lot of people have sort of come out and expressed online that this show takes some serious creative liberties. Like, serious. Like, I think even Verstappen recently said that I have no interest in sort of fake rivalries and all of that, and that's partly why I didn't participate. So how much, like for example, right, like first even when I saw that footage of him going past and waving, like DTS made it seem like a super cocky thing, but apparently since then he's clarified that he was saying thank you.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just some straight up, like, put him in a black turtleneck only, like just directly. Why are you doing this? So how much of that do you think is like Lando's a dick and how much of that do you? Because again, I can see value in him looking at another sports person on his team and being like, I don't want to patronize you or condescend to you, and hence feel that sympathy for you. Because in a way, I almost felt like his point of view in that episode seemed like, who am I to feel sympathy for you? Right? And I felt that was a valid question where he asked this, like, unless you want me to, which I'm sure is not like the case.
Also the amount of media these guys do these days, man. Just imagine.
It's
like,
insane.
From Thursday onwards, and now like F1 has become a lot more open about social and things since Liberty got into it and everything. So the amount they're asked to comment about everything, after the point, it must get to you and you'll be like, man, I can't be that specific about my thoughts. Like even normal humans don't have opinions about every single thing. Like,
it's true. And these are not normal humans. These are humans who have been in a hermetically sealed environment since they were 5 years old and don't care about a lot of things other than the environment that they have been in.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like Dave
even if you look at
sorry, go for it.
Like even if you look at Yuki Tsunoda, I think one of the valid points that they made in that was that this guy has learned English from a bunch of race engineers around him who just basically keep swearing. So he's not actually just swearing. It's just because that's the English he learned.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, one sec. Very quick super chat readout again because a bunch of them have come in. Nikun says, oh my god, Max, can't wait to hear that again. Vikram Sundar says, this year's F1 opening titles without Kimi feel kind of empty, but it's pretty dope this time. You should have a look. Would you like to see Nico Hulkenberg back in F1? Well, I think we got our wish today, right? The new F1 theme released today is worth a review on this stream. I agree, it is worth a review on this stream, but I don't want copyright strike. So that will not get put up. Can't wait for the Williams to lap all the Mercs, says Ranbir. Can't wait for Verstappen, Hamilton once again. Does anybody remember Maldonado? I remember Maldonado.
Of course I remember. Williams
of course
driver.
we remember.
No.
Of course.
Williams' last race winner.
Exactly. Last race win. You think I will forget Maldonado?
Yeah. You have a shrine to Maldonado behind your...
Yeah, exactly. Lotao Maldonado is what Azeem says before sleeping every night.
He is the Williams driver I wish Mercedes had taken.
Okay, so then to come to that, when you're talking about what somebody said in the super chat, also we must talk about glaring omission from this season. You wearing the hat 5 minutes ago, Arjun. Kimi Raikkonen. No Kimi Raikkonen episode. Is that also just because Kimi Raikkonen doesn't give a fuck? Like to his credit.
Even if they had referenced him not giving a fuck, I would have been fine with it. You know,
Yeah.
even if he just like they were shooting him and he put a finger up to the camera like Christian
That would have been the most Kimi Raikkonen thing ever.
ever. You know what I'm saying? But just to not have him there, like it seems crazy. Like for the longest time, I think even till date, F1 used to run these polls. Who's the most popular driver in the world? Kimi Raikkonen.
He was one of the
used to
most.
be
Yeah, man.
there.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up there, like, and to not reflect him like they did in the previous seasons, even the way they did, that was fine. I was fine with that. Just one offhand fuck you or whatever, you know.
It's fine, but just like reference him. Like, I agree with you.
Glaring omission, man. And I mean, what a legend of the sport, dude. Like,
Hell yeah. Didn't he like go off and like do WRC and then come back and like all of that stuff? Like
he did NASCAR, he did
and
he did like what a baller. He runs a motocross team in Finland. He's just they're built differently, man. Those Finnish. If you want to win,
I was just going to say, I was just like, right, motocross team in Finland is like, no, I'm sure everybody has a motocross team in Finland. Like, it's just like, it's like how some countries people have sheep. Yeah, some people have sheep, some people have gully cricket. In Finland, they have motocross. This thing. Are you trying to do with cats?
And he's doing it.
Yes, that's what I'm doing.
I guess that's the thing. Louis, come here, son of a bitch. Where are you when I need you? But caps and cats clearly shouldn't be. Louis.
Yeah,
Louis. Here? No, Louis is not here. He's bounced.
You have 22 cats? No.
No, thankfully, just the 2.
If we go long enough, we'll find out.
We'll find out,
We will find out, like, for sure. Everybody's saying, let's not forget, Alan saying, let's not forget Gunter and his boat. We will never forget Gunter and his boat. We will never forget Gunter and his cottage. We will never forget Gunter and his boat. Anurag says Norris is unhappy about how he was portrayed in DTS. I don't blame him, to be honest.
But clearly, I fell for it, so he should be.
Yeah, well, see, there we go. And this guy is a super fan. So
even last year when they did the whole Carlos and Lando rivalry, it felt a bit manufactured, especially if you follow them on social media. And
exactly.
But sure, I mean that's honestly, just as with everything I've gotten to with the F1, just watching this long and everything, I'm fine with a little bit of editing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like if it's gonna bring more fans in. If I'm going to have more conversations with folks like you about Formula 1 and everything, I think it's a freaking win,
I think Arjun in season 5 is just going to be like, put 1-2 spaceships also upar. Fuck, spaceship bhi hota hai. Fuck, daal do 2-3, like no problem.
Look, I mean, here's the thing, okay? You know that on Sunday, you're going to have a shit ton of people watching on Sunday night.
For sure.
You know, like the most that have probably ever watched. And sure, 2021 had something to do with it, the whole season in itself, but DTS had something to do with it. I'm pretty certain, Aisha has jokes like, it's going to be super popular when they hit Australia. Australia used to be where the season started.
Yeah.
Let's see how many people are there in the 35th lap of a dry Hungarian Grand Prix, which is brutal. It's brutal to watch as a fan.
Of course.
Whatever. Yeah. But I know that they will be. And like, man, guess what? The Hungarian Grand Prix last year was one of the most like
best.
Exactly. No, and I think you hit what DTS and what sort of the 2021 season will do is that now it almost doesn't matter if the race is interesting or not, because you've now turned this into a group activity where you're having conversations over the race anyway. Exactly. Right? Like I noticed this is something that happened in Abu Dhabi also. Like friends and I were watching and I looked around the room and I'm like, this is not a group of people in my life that I would have imagined congregating around my TV to watch F1. Right? This is not at all that group of people, and yet there it was. So again, sorry, couple more super chats. Nikun says, Azeem might remember me from the United quiz. Who is he supporting from? Actually, this is to all of you then. Who are you supporting from outside of the top 4 teams? And does anybody else feel like Russell might annoy Hamilton? All right, so unless you have any more thoughts on DTS specifically, let's look at 2022. First race coming up this weekend. First practice tomorrow, then qualifying Saturday, race Sunday. Quite excited. Wow, that was such a Will Buxton line. Oh dear God. I take it back. Full.
And that's the race weekend.
And that's the race weekend. Is it? But so aside from say Mercedes, Red Bull, etc., what are the other teams that you've sort of got your eye on for this season?
I'm definitely rooting for Yuki. I want to see Yuki somewhere since we all love him so much. And Vettel. For me, I think it's been long overdue, and like I feel like he needs a few podiums. And Ricardo. If outside of like obviously like Mercedes in the top lot, I would say these three is who I would want to see on the podium. And I don't think Russell is really going to upset Hamilton's season. But I do feel like Hamilton is going to win, obviously.
Do you think they're lying and underplaying their car?
Yeah,
on
I think
purpose?
so. I think they're
They've done
underplaying
that
the
6
car.
years.
Yeah, they've done that
Yeah,
6
they
times. So
always
do you
do
think
it.
they're basically doing that? यार exam के पहले मेरे को तो कुछ नहीं आता यार.
Yeah, so I'm really hoping they are doing that. If they aren't, then we're all in for a bit of a shock on Sunday. But yeah, I do feel like that downplaying always happens, and then you end up being like, okay, yeah, you know. But I feel like the first race is always very exciting, not just for whatever team you support, but just to see where everybody is at, because it kind of gives you that vibe of, oh God, am I the only
Shit, your
cat-less
move,
person
Azeem.
here?
Your move. You need a cap and a
Fine.
cat now. Now you need a cap and a
Okay.
cat. Now.
Okay, run away.
So yeah, I mean that's what I feel. The
Cats are
first
not
race is always
cooperating.
exciting.
That's the shit. Sorry, you were saying the first race.
Yeah, so that's what I meant, that the first race is always great because you get to see where everybody's at, not just like the team you're supporting, or you know, like it's not about a driver winning that race. It's just about kind of seeing what the cars are like, what they're doing. Because again, in testing, you're not seeing them compete and whatever. So that first weekend for me is always quite exciting. And I think even if the cars kind of do badly, like you know, Mercedes started badly last season, and then obviously they took off really well. So I don't think it's an oh my god situation ever, because it's such a long season and everybody's like, okay, so this is what's gonna happen, or they're gonna work on this. But yeah, I think they're downplaying it for this one. At least that's my gut.
You don't give George Russell any shot or what? You're not
No,
saying...
I mean, I definitely think he's going to be competitive. I'm not saying he's not, or like, but I don't think it's going to be like he's going to win the championship and Hamilton isn't, is what I mean. Like
So,
that for me is a no-no.
Varishu
Like, I
Kaushik
don't
has a
think it's gonna
question,
happen.
a relevant question here on the super chat. Do you think we'll have a Rosberg Hamilton situation in Merc, or are they going to ruin Russell like Bottas? His words, not mine. Are they going to
I
ruin Russell?
don't think. See, I think Lewis has been with the team too long for them to suddenly be like, okay, Russell's our man. That's not going to happen. Like, I mean, in this season at least, for sure. Going into the future, possibly that could happen. Also because like Lewis has been around for so long. But I don't think that's going to happen in this season. But it will be interesting to see how competitive he is, because that'll obviously determine what's going to happen in the future. You know, like with
Sure.
Bottas, as much as I liked him, he wasn't that competitive. In terms of with Lewis, he wasn't that competitive anyways. Like, you know, most times Lewis would outperform him. So I think there wasn't that issue of like the Rosberg situation that we had. So I feel like that is like that could potentially happen eventually, but I don't think it's going to happen this season.
Okay. You friends, your thoughts, Azeem, Arjun,
Mm.
on the Russell?
Yeah. On Russell, see, the thing is, I think after Hamilton and Rosberg happened, it was very clear with Bottas that we are getting a number 2 driver who is efficient and good and be a team player. With Russell, I think he will also realize that for 1 or 2 seasons, he has to take that back seat, because Hamilton is not going to be around forever.
He's a
I would say
long-term
he
plan,
has-
right? Basically.
Yeah, 100%. He's the long-term plan. I would think that maybe once, I would say Hamilton will probably... My speculation is that if Hamilton wins this season, he retires after taking the 8th. That's what I would think. If he doesn't, then I think he'll do a further extension. But I would totally expect that once Hamilton's gone, it becomes Russell who's the number 1 driver, and they get somebody like a Ocon or somebody in as that second driver. So Russell will bide his time. He's very young still. He's what, 21, 22 still.
Yeah.
So he's still got plenty of time ahead. I think he can use this time to learn from Hamilton all the dark arts of being a number 1 driver, and then do that when he gets the calling.
Okay, Arjun.
I mean, I think also like Lewis is older and wiser. I don't think that like sort of the negativity and the intensity of that 2016 season with Rosberg is going to play out in the same way, even if they are both really competitive and everything, because like Lewis is now this like,
Yeah.
It's not a question
superstar
anymore.
activist who is like way beyond. I feel like even with the season just now that we had,
The way he handled it, I mean,
way he
like,
handled it was
yeah.
really
So
great. Like he was so mature and so good about it. But I do think Russell's going to be a serious threat. I rate that kid really highly. I mean, I'm sure you're all aware of his like junior career credentials and everything. Dude's a future world champion for sure. And also, like, I mean, those two seats are the toughest seats in the world, right? Like being Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen's teammate. I mean, come on, like that is
it's a hard one.
Serious freaking tough shit to deal with. So
Okay, a few more questions. Sundaram wants to know who's getting the first DNF of the year.
Ooh.
There's no Mazepin, so the field is wide open, guys. The field is wide open.
Unfortunately, I think it's going to be a Williams driver because that car has not looked reliable in testing at all.
Or an Alpine driver.
Yeah, I was gonna say Alpine too. I mean, I feel like because more so because of the cars, sadly, and not the drivers.
Yeah.
Speaking of the cars, I'll do one more relevant question, which I think is here. Kanak wants to know thoughts on the porpoising effect that's been happening in testing to everybody. Do you think they're gonna have that sorted?
And you have some serious fans in your super chat, dude.
I
Porpoising.
do.
Like, can you imagine porpoising is a term that we're all freaking talking about?
And it's not a sex word. It's crazy.
Will Buxton doing
we're on
this
the internet and we're talking about porpoising and it's not a sex word. This is the true impact of Drive to Survive.
Porpoising is part of the lexicon right now.
Yeah.
Like, and that's bonkers.
But Mercedes are the team that seems to be still struggling most as per their claims with the porpoising effect. I think in day 3 of Bahrain testing, it looked like most teams seem to have managed to plan it out. But Mercedes वो deliberately डाला रहेगा एक vibrator पीछे दिखाने के लिए लोगों को कि ऊपर नीचे हो जाए थोड़ा गाड़ी.
नहीं Bottas था गाड़ी के पीछे ऐसे वो attached था वो कर रहा था. Bottas पीछे बैठा था वो कर रहा था.
That's what the reserve driver does for Mercedes. That's his job. He's lying there, just smoking.
Ree wants to know, do you guys think Ferrari actually has a chance of winning this year or beating Red Bull or Mercedes? Do you think they're back in the fray?
I mean, they will win some races for sure. I don't think that they're completely out. And I think last year as well, they were decently competitive. So I think this year more so they're looking pretty strong.
Okay.
I'm hoping for a.
Sorry, Azeem.
No, go ahead.
It's the best looking car on the grid by far, man. I love that like Rosso that they've got this year and that black rear wing. It just
quite
gives
stunning.
me such 1990 Ferrari vibes.
Yeah, full 90s vibes.
Yeah. Fire.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, but also a great driver pairing, both of them.
Yeah,
Charles and
awesome.
Carlos, man.
Yeah.
Both of them, yeah.
It's gonna be
There's
awesome.
your cat in the background.
Just fantastic. Other than
Hey, you have a cat in the background, finally.
Don't get scared. Come on. What's going on?
But I do feel that like for me in World Drivers Championship, so obviously if it comes down to Lewis versus Max, I will pick Max. But I am hoping that it is Lewis versus Max versus Ferrari driver, in which case I will be going with Ferrari driver.
Who do you think is going to be that driver?
I think Sainz is the more consistent driver, but I think Leclerc has that little bit more X factor about him, considering that he's
talent.
No, and he's been in those. You've seen him in those pressure situations. You've seen him at Monza fending off Lewis Hamilton. Like he
doesn't back down. He doesn't back down from a fight like at all.
Yeah. Like, so I'm very for me in the world in an ideal world I would want to be saying that yes, Charles Leclerc definitely would be my pick for Drivers' World Championship, but that is contingent on Ferrari having the car that's good enough.
Fair enough.
Rohan, who's your pick, dude? You never answered any of these freaking questions.
My pick? Would you? I didn't answer any of these questions. I literally talked about how great it is that porpoising is not a sex word. Right? And I feel like that was an important answer in the larger scheme of things.
Who's your money on?
Who's my money on? Oh, are you kidding? I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not
top 3. These are like how Azeem said. Okay, it's going to be maybe Max.
So
Lewis and one Ferrari guy.
I think it is. I'm with Azeem on this because again in the preseason testing, just between Ricardo having COVID and between just the laps that Lando got in, that car was not working from what I can tell. Like they had not.
They've got some brake issues.
Yeah,
Brake
like
issues,
lots of
yeah.
these brake issues, not from what I can tell, and that car is not, at least so. I don't know whether they'll fix it, whether they'll sort it out, what they'll do. But if this can be the year, because chal, last year Ricardo's first year in the in the McLaren's car, etc., all of that, dude. If he gets his head in the game this year, then it could potentially be a Red Bull, Mercedes, McLaren thing, and not a Ferrari thing. If we're really lucky, then it's all 4 teams this year, like that are really, really going for it. And if we're really lucky, then someone from Haas gets points. Right? And
listen.
And
May I just point out
yes, please.
that the last time there was a regulation change, there was a team in white that had no sponsors that came in and won the championship.
True that. Though having said that,
You
Azeem,
currently
I
have
also
more
feel
expectations from them than Gunter Steiner has from them, alright? You are even more optimistic.
They've looked pretty quick, dude,
They
in
have.
preseason testing. I mean,
Like car is lighter,
granted
no,
they were
there's no
doing it.
sponsorship on it, no? So it's lighter. Car's lighter and faster, no?
And the weight of
sponsor table
Mazepin is
nahi
gone.
hai na usse. The weight of Mazepin's infinite shitness is gone.
I'm actually so happy K-Mag is back, man. What a
Yeah.
character that dude is.
Yeah,
He's
K-Mag is a
great.
great
Follow
character.
on. He has such racing pedigree. His dad
Yeah.
is a freaking former F1 guy and sports car guy. Love that guy.
Fuck
But I
yeah.
also hope I also feel like, okay, here's what's happened, right? These sweeping rule changes have happened and everything. Everybody is figuring out some shit or the other. Mercedes said before they came to Bahrain that in the freaking simulator, those nothing size 0 side pods were giving them a second a lap, and then they came to Bahrain and they figured, oh, we need shit to figure out, right? And I feel like that's what's going to happen. First 6-7 races, people are going to be figuring out shit till we get back to Europe proper. Till we get back to the proper European part of the season, cars are going to be breaking down. The potential for X factors in this first few races of the season, I feel quite high,
So what you're saying
And
is
that's
we're
actually
gonna
the
have a
reason.
season of Drive to Survive next year.
Yeah, and also I think the
Because of-
stakes are higher. I feel like because of all the drama we've had last season, everybody is so desperate to prove themselves. Like it's not like it's not even just like it's not just this like everyone's like we
It's not a
all want
given.
to win.
It's
not
not
a
a given.
given.
No,
And
it's not a
and
given.
it's that because we went into the last race tied and all of that, nobody wants to really take any chances anymore. Everyone's like every race is like
Every
Like
sprint
it.
race,
Yeah.
every freaking fastest lap point is gonna count for
Yeah.
something, Yeah.
So I
But
think that
they'll make it
desperation is what
interesting.
we're gonna see in this season more than anything else. I think that whole desperation of every point matters, every race matters.
Are you telling me that they are driving to survive? That's crazy. Somebody should
Phil
make a show
Buxton,
about
ladies and
that.
gentlemen.
Somebody should
I
make a
mean-
show about that. Somebody should 100% make a show
Somebody
about
should.
that. Like,
After they make Yuki and UK, they can make
Yeah.
UK on priority, please. Like on
Yeah.
priority. I can
But I
already
just
hear
have
the
to
theme
say-
song in my head.
But also, I just have to say that not just every team is going to be desperate to be right up there. F1 itself is going to be desperate for it to be an entertaining spectacle because
Oh, yeah.
now with all the build-up that's there, if suddenly this season turns out to be boring as shit, it's going to be horrible for them. So, I mean, those first 3 races are boring. That Sheikh bin Sulaim is going to be coming himself and putting like spike strips on the track
Next Drive
just to make it
season,
interesting.
Next Drive to Survive season, they'll go Honor and Toto guns only, and they'll be like, "Adhe room mein."
I mean, if you think about it, Abu Dhabi, until Nicholas Latifi put it into the wall, like we need a Deus Ex Machina for every freaking race.
Yeah.
It's like
How
as
about
soon as
this?
it-
How about this? Everybody who's present at a race, all right?
Yeah.
They get like one of those KBC voting pads, all right? And they don't know, like, they never know what to think, but you get to choose one racer who you'll randomly, like, his car will flip. Okay?
Something.
At a
Oil
random
on
point.
track.
Like, like just literally it'll flip, okay? Like somewhere in the middle, and you're only choosing yours. But basically, by the end of the poll, whoever's got the most, that car will basically just cause chaos into this thing. I'm just saying, guys, call me.
Bernie
They
Ecclestone
piloted it
had
at
this-
Monza actually.
Bernie had this theory. He was like, when Bernie Ecclestone was running F1, he had really this thing. He wanted to put sprinklers on the side of the tracks.
Oh,
So that just
Wow.
suddenly, even if it's a dry thing, in the middle, he can put the sprinklers on and it becomes a wet race and there's more chance for something.
Wow.
to
At
go.
what point does it go
Wow.
from Formula 1 to Takeshi's Castle? Like,
Yeah, that's Bernie. That's Bernie Ecclestone. That's
Yeah.
that guy. you
That's
know?
Bernie
Yeah,
Ecclestone. That is
Yeah.
Bernie Ecclestone indeed. Noah Cochran, the new regulations development rate is always insane. The team that wins first might not win last or dominate. Would love to
Yes.
hear from Arjun and Azeem a nerdy discussion about the variety of side pods teams are using this season. Watch Adrian Newey's interview with Motorsport.
I
Very,
love
very
this.
insightful. Team
People are
Papaya.
asking us to discuss side pod design.
Yeah, no?
And
2022,
again,
bring it
not
on.
a sex word. I would like to
Yeah,
point out
not a sex word.
that side pod is not a
Yeah.
sex word, guys.
Word.
We are breaking new internet ground here. It is truly amazing. Ask Azeem to imitate Gunter and Toto. Russ has the skill to beat Max. Could
Yes.
be like Ferrari 19. Will we get another 4-way title fight, which will go to the last race, like the 2010 season? These are all the questions that are out there, and you guys can choose to do whatever. Wax eloquent about side pods, or tell us about if this is going to be a 4-team race.
Yes. Well, I do think that the side pods are actually going to be quite interesting this season with the size zero the Mercedes have gone for. But right now they're porpoising and looking like a bunch of wankers. So, you know.
It's fucking madness, no?
Oh, that's tough, bro.
Well done. Well done.
Take it away.
Take it away, indeed.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, I mean, everybody thought when they showed the car last year that this was going to be the car. Everybody thought that we would be within, like, say, a plus minus 5% of what that baseline car is. And now when you see the cars, they're like, holy shit, there lots of creative liberties
Yeah.
have been taken on these things. Like, I think F1 posted this, like, sort of comparison of
Yeah.
like half the Mercedes car and half the Ferrari car. And technically, they're both the same thing. They're probably going to be a second apart on the track or whatever.
But they've taken
But they
completely
look-
different paths to get there.
Chalk and cheese, which is insane. And I feel like that's the other underrated part. Like, talking about side pods for a minute.
Or side paths. That's what Yuki wants to talk about. Yuki wants to talk about side paths.
Episode 1, UK and UK. Side
Side paths.
The designers of these cars, they're freaking athletes, dude. I mean, just think about it. Like, I mean, they're creating these mechanical marvels and they're trying to find every single millimeter that's going to
And millisecond
that's going to like reduce time on track. And like that's not just a regular scientist or a regular engineer or whatever. You have to have like some sort of cutthroat Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen thing to make computational fluid dynamics or whatever else. You know, it's like those guys are just geniuses. People like Adrian Newey, like the designers of these cars, they're freaking athletes themselves, man. Like, in terms of the level of intensity. I remember Nico Rosberg in 2016. He talked about like these marginal gains, that he had to make in his career to sort of get to that point where he was beating Hamilton. One of them was that he had special racing gloves made, wherein the gap, like the texture of the gloves was so thin so that he could release the clutch pedal at starts faster. Okay, so it's like shaved millimeters off his freaking racing gloves to get better starts and try to beat Hamilton on the track or whatever. And that's the game that we're playing, it's like, holy smokes, every little marginal thing. And those guys who are designing these side pods or designing these mechanical marvels, they're just the same. They're like finding a new diffuser layout.
Every little advantage that you can find, right? Like every little advantage.
It's insane. And
like Nico Rosberg, for instance, there was another one. So because I actually, for the F1 stuff that I do, Nico Rosberg has an entire series of mastering F1 tracks, which he does, where he's in the simulator. And literally one of the videos I was watching was him talking about how on one particular track, he literally found one particular line on the straight where everybody would be right on the inside, but he would go slightly outside because the track was slightly less bumpy over there. He would gain 200 a second. And that's how he was able to keep Hamilton behind. It was just mind-blowing.
This is exactly how I calculate driving on Western Express Highway. इधर 4 खड्डा कम है, इधर इसमें 4 खड्डा कम है, मैं फास्ट पहुंचेगा. Okay, one more question for everybody. Sundaram has a stat. It's a stat time. Since 2017, the FP1 topper of the opening round has eventually won the championship that year. I have no way of fact checking that, but that is interesting. Ranbir says Ferrari master plan or L plan or the AM script. Kanak has an interesting question. Okay, actually 2 last questions for you. I'm going to start with Kanak's question. I'm going to start with Sherry. Thoughts on which drivers we might possibly see racing in F1 for the last time this season?
Possibly Alonso. I think. I think now. That I would say. Scarily, I'm also thinking maybe Vettel because of his drive, because he's just losing interest driving a not so competitive car. I think he needs to be competitive to kind of be in the game. I would hate to see him leave, but that's how I feel. He kind of seems bored a lot of the times. What could I have done? I've done everything, but it's not in my hands. Also, Ricardo, where he's had a last bad few years, I think, and really, I think that headspace, from where he struggled and been okay. And I think, as we said with Lando, he struggled just the fact that I've got a younger, newer teammate who's managing to do better, and that has messed his season last year. So I think a lot of there are just such few seats. It's so sad that
Man,
you
Ricardo
really can't
go.
Yeah,
Ricardo can't
he
go. That's
can't.
it would be community.
It would be terrible.
Like,
It would be. No, I'm just saying from the angle of their energy and where I've seen people who can be much better, but sadly they're just stuck in a
I
situation or a
really hope
shitty
he has a
car or
good
whatever.
season, just on a personal
Yeah,
note.
I really do.
He's an easy guy to
but-
root for.
But I think most likely it's going to be Alonso. I think.
Yeah, I don't see Alonso sticking around for more than unless
this
Alpine
one.
are spectacular this year and suddenly
Yeah.
give him a
Yeah.
championship capable car, then he'll stay.
I would love to see that, man.
I really
Oh
would.
yeah. Hell
Even
yeah.
right now, you put him in that Red Bull or you put him in
He'll
that
be
second
great.
Mercedes seat,
Oh, full on.
he's gonna extract every single 10th out of it.
But if he wins in that car, then dude, it's straight up Javier Bardem in and as Alonso.
yeah,
So the thing with Alonso is that whenever he's in a lower team, he's very likable as a person and as a teammate. But when you put him in a competitive environment, he
The
becomes
thing
so
together becomes
toxic.
Yeah.
Both things together become obnoxious, right?
I also feel same with Hamilton. He's grown older, man, and he's he's gotten that all of these more elder statesmen, people like Seb used to be so precocious.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and now he's the nice guy on
I think
the
you
grid.
age out of it, right? Even
exactly.
right? I remember Kimi used to be known as the party guy, right? In the sense the crazy guy. The Iceman was crazy, Kimi would get apparently back then if you had to basically kuch bhi hota hai to Kimi daru pi ke nanga hota hai, right? If you read in 90% of F1 news.
Yes.
And the defining images of him leaving are him, his kid, his wife and this, and it's just I'm man, Kimi grew up. Right? It's kind of beautiful to see. And that last question, guys. Thank you for super. Unfortunately, we are not going to have time to go through. Are you guys excited about financial regulations would be police? But guys, I feel like we should do this again. I'm down to do this
This
every
is
week.
fun.
Let's go.
And also,
I'm
I
down to
think
do
we
this
should
every
have a
week if you guys are.
WhatsApp group.
Let's
guys,
go.
where
We should. Let's do this every week. Should we do this every week after the race? Should we do this? Try and do this every week?
Yes.
Yeah? Fuck it. Let's try and make a standing appointment. So last question for this stream. First GP podium predictions or winner predictions. Just for fun. Just to come back next week and see how horribly right or wrong we were.
And this is gonna suck. We're all going to be so humiliated, on Monday morning
It's okay.
or whatever.
No problem. Look at it this way. We'll be more humble in the next stream.
Yeah.
Right now we've just been so cavalier. I drive a Honda Brio, okay? So for me to sit here and be hey, Mazpan, tero gaadi chalane ko nahi aata, is damn hardcore. It's very hardcore, okay, for me to say that. So little humble is good, I think. So predictions?
I'm not going first.
Okay, I'll go first. I'm gonna say I would hope that Lewis wins this one, just as a kind of redemption.
You're being very
for-
like Jaya Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan about this.
That's not, but no, but that's my prediction, and
Okay.
I'm gonna say second. I'm guessing it would be one of the Ferraris. I do feel like
Okay, nice.
they've got good potential. I mean, the Bulls are gonna crash out, obviously.
Oh, okay.
Oof.
Whoa.
Oof.
Wow. This has gone from
And-
prediction to
Bold
wish list. This has gone from prediction to
prediction.
wish list. Like
Yeah.
very fast.
And I would love to see Seb coming in third. Like that would be a good start for me. Like I'd like that.
Mm.
You guys play F1 fantasy or what? That whole F1
I play.
I'm sure
racing
there's a
games.
lot of points to be had for
There's
the
a
podium
lot
that
of
you just
points.
made.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
Feel
lot
like
of
you
points.
just made just now, right? There's a lot of points to be had, Shai, I think.
And a lot of drama also.
Fully
Oh,
for
yeah,
that
fully,
kind of
fully.
podium to happen, like
Fully.
Seb and like Lewis.
Oh,
and,
what a beautiful race that would have to be.
Yeah.
Oof. Too good. Azim.
Okay, I am going to say Max Verstappen to win, Lewis Hamilton second, Sainz third, and a Haas in the top 10.
All right, Arjun.
I don't have to agree with Azeem in that, like, Max probably to win. I'd say George second, and I'd say Sainz third.
Also, everybody's pointed out, Sebastian is out because of COVID.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
No
Sebastian's
Vettel.
out.
No
Oh, yeah,
Vettel.
no.
So no
Man,
fantasy
Nico
points.
Hulkenberg on that podium though.
Hulkenberg
If this would be
Oh,
Nico
dude.
Hulkenberg's first podium,
Oh, dude.
That would be
sign me
great.
up for that season.
Oh, dude. What a
Yeah.
trip that would be.
That would be, yeah.
That would be. Like, I can already see the movie, The Replacement Killer.
Yeah.
Like, right there. I can see it. That's brilliant.
What's your prediction, Rohan?
My prediction. Oof. I'm gonna go with
Nicholas
fun.
Latifi. No, okay.
no. I'm gonna go
No,
with
Latifi
for
in the
fun.
wall
Okay.
and there.
Yeah. Latifi in the wall, alright. Latifi will take the checkered flag of the wall. Like, तू अगर Latifi को checkered flag दिखाएगा ना, तो he will drive into that guy, like literally, like who's waving it. ठीक है? I'm gonna say, and this is like really just more for this thing. Checo Perez for the win. I don't know why.
Mexican Minister of Defense, yes.
Yeah, you know, why not? Why not? For the win. I'm gonna say Sainz and Leclerc, and neither Max or Lewis finish.
Whoa.
I'm like, if you're gonna make
Whoa.
predictions, go big or go home. Alright?
Holy smokes,
Like, go
dude.
big or go home. Like, that is what
Arjun,
I'm
and you're
saying.
saying they're taking each other out or are unrelated circumstances?
I
What's
don't
the
like to- I
purposing
don't
will
like to- I
launch
don't
Lewis
like to-
onto
I don't
Max
like
this
to
time.
control my kids too much. Let them decide.
Arjun.
Let them decide how they do it. Let them.
This is
There
like
are no
Christian Horner saying, let them race.
corners.
Yeah. It's called a motor race, Toto.
It's called it's called a motor race. Exactly. All right. I think that's it for us for this stream, friends. This has been a lot of fun. I had no
Yes.
idea how this was going to go, but this has been a ton of fun. I really hope we can do this every week or every few weeks because I think this would be fun. Let's see, maybe if you guys are free Monday night, we can do this on a Monday night, so that way we're dissecting race.
Monday night is 442, but
Oh, Monday night is 442.
I can make time before after.
Okay, chal, we'll figure either way for next week, but if we can, we should absolutely do this again. It's just going to be extra hard work for Arjun, who now has to get another 20 hats to keep
Yes.
this gag up.
Dude, I have like some 50 hats. Like,
Oh,
Samira is going to leave me.
shit.
Like, if I add more hats into the household at this point in time. You've just seen the tip of the goddamn iceberg. On Monday, we'll go through a new selection. Chalo.
Oh man, I can't
Oh
wait.
God.
I can't wait. I personally can't wait. For the last time, everybody in chat, can we please have panel OP? So I'm not going to ask you to do individual. I'm going to say panel OP because Arjun, Sherry, Azeem, there's been a ton of fun. You have all been amazing. Chat, thank you for sticking around, and also genuinely, as Arjun and Sherry and Azeem have pointed out multiple times, you all asked some fucking fantastic questions. Like,
Yeah, it's
too
been really
good.
fun.
Good.
Too good.
Let's
Alright.
talk about
Yeah.
side pods more. Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really. Just
Also,
Side
since
paths also.
since you guys are so geeky, guys, I do F1 races and I have 6 points away from winning the title tomorrow. So come and watch me race.
What time? And
Yes.
the link will be on your Instagram.
You
I'm
can just
assuming?
check on, yeah, I'll put it on Instagram, but you can just check out my channel. And
Okay,
tomorrow,
YouTube channel.
it's at
And-
11:30 p.m.
Now that you mentioned, I'm glad reminded. Sherry, Arjun, any announcements or anything you want people to watch out for? Can be anything at all. It's fine.
I mean, I would just say subscribe to everybody's channel.
True.
Great information. Yes.
True tuber. True tuber.
I don't have a channel, but just watch the
But
race.
go watch Standing By. Go watch Standing
Oh,
By.
please, yeah.
Yes.
Please,
watch
please
that
go watch
docu.
Standing By. It's on YouTube, right? It's still
It's free.
there,
It's
right?
free on YouTube.
It's free. It's on YouTube. It's astonishing. Please go watch it. You will not see a more loving recreation or. sort of
But how
historical
can you
analysis.
not have a channel with that hat collection? The first video needs to be my hat collection.
Just a separate channel for your hats. Like you don't even have
Just
to
for
be
that.
on
Yeah.
it. It just constantly live streams a chair where you change a hat
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
30 minutes. That's the whole channel.
Totally.
On that note,
Like a
thank you
fun.
chat, thank you panel. With that, we have come to end of the stream. Smash that like button one more time if you haven't already, and we will hopefully see you next week with more F and more 1. On that note, good night, dosto.